Water's getting deep now. Water's getting deep now. Follow me around. Yeah. Can you let me down? Please don't let me down. Yeah.
Hello again, my quilty friends. Welcome back to my channel, Pages and Stitches. That's spelled pages, the number 3 stitches, both here and on Instagram. My name is Kelly, and I have my mid-year quilting corner update for you finally here in the middle of summer. Today is July 4th, which is an American holiday. If you are outside of the States, it is our Independence Day. I've been waiting around all day to film this because it's been a really overcast day and I never really got any sunshine. And if I wait any longer, we are gonna start hearing fireworks. I mean, there's still a chance you could. So if you hear big booms, it's because somebody's setting off fireworks. But it's still really gray outside. So I've got a lot of artificial lighting right now going. So we'll see if it messes with the color values of anything. I'll try and color correct as much as possible. I want to start by saying thank you everyone who clicked on my channel and gave me a try. I so appreciate you stopping by. Even if you're just passing through, I do so appreciate you spending any amount of time with me to talk about my favorite hobbies. If you are a new viewer, hello, welcome, thank you. I have plenty of quilting content for you to consume, but I also film a floss tube, which is primarily cross stitching. So I film one floss tube and one quilter's corner for every update that I do. By the time this video is posted, my floss tube for the same time frame will have just been posted. So feel free to check that out if you are into cross stitching. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you for joining me again, my dear friends. I love sharing this hobby with you, this creative, crafty passion of mine, and I love hearing about what you're working on and what purchases you've just made recently and all that. I love connecting with you guys in the comments. Of course, you can always reach out to me on Instagram as well, and we can connect there. So yeah, let's get into it. I'm gonna do just a quick little life update. First and foremost, I just had a birthday 2 days ago. I just turned 36 years young. It was a great birthday. Thank you so much to any and all of you who reached out on Instagram to wish me a happy birthday. It was great. I had a massage in the morning and then I went shopping and then I came home and I relaxed and I had a Zoom in the evening with some friends and we had a really great time. So yeah, it was a good day. Also, you may notice that my hair is no longer red. I had red hair for over 20 years, but it was not my natural hair color. Believe it or not, this is my natural hair color. But my hair had been red long enough that everyone who is currently in my life didn't know that, or like they had never seen me with my natural hair color, didn't realize that it wasn't red. But anyways, I had some issues with my hair being very unhealthy, and so after talking with my doctor, we kind of decided I needed to back off of the hair dyeing, because when you do it for over 20 years, sometimes when your hair is very fine textured like mine, it doesn't hold up very well. So we're gonna be brown for the foreseeable future, and this is me natural. But yeah, I'm pretty sure even my mother forgot what my natural hair color was. I started dyeing my hair red when I was 13, and I didn't really stop for the most part until like a month ago. So anyways, that's it, that's life. I'm going to do a quick reading update of all the books that I've read since my last post, and then we'll get into the quilting. If you're new here, I like to share all of the books that I've read in the last couple of weeks and months since my last post. Reading is my third passion, the third thing that has my heart. I have my quilting, I have my cross stitching, and then of course I have my reading. The Pages of Pages and Stitches is representative of my reading. And because I like to know what other people are reading, and I like to I spy on their bookshelves when I see them in their videos, and there's a lot of crossover between readers and crafters, I like to share what I'm reading. Now, I went through quite a few books the last 3 months, so I'm going to read them off kind of rapid fire on my list. I've got my list down here in front of me, so that's what I'm looking at when I look down, and I'll post pictures of everything on the screen. Okay, so I started with Love Sincerely Yours by Meghan, Quinn, and Sara Nye, Done and Dusted by Lyla Sage, Thoroughly Pucked by Lauren Blakely, Deep End by Ali Hazelwood, Betrayer by LiAnne Kay, Pucking Wild, Pucking Sweet, Pucking Ever After Volume 1 and Volume 2, all by Dr. Emily Rath, Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross, Filthy Rich Fae by Geneva Lee, Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, Lilac by BB Reid, The Player by Kay Bromberg, Caught Up by Navessa Allen, Consider Me by Becka Mack, Rebel King by Gina L. Maxwell, and Spellbound by Heather Geyer. Lots of books, lots of reading. I like to escape within a novel. I don't always read fiction. Sometimes I'll read the occasional nonfiction or autobiography, but for the most part, I just like to escape within a fiction book. Okay, let's talk quilting and sewing. I have a lot of good stuff to share with you. I've been sewing my butt off. I have 2 fully finished quilts to show you. I have 3 finished quilt tops, 2 of which were a new start in this last stretch of time between today and my previous post. And then of course I have whip updates for other ongoing projects. And then at the end of all of it, I'll share my plans and my haul with you. And I do have a good chunk of haul this time around. Last year, and I said the same thing on my floss tube, last year I gave myself like a self-imposed buy ban, and I was just gonna stitch from stash, whether it's fabric or patterns or whatever. And this year I did not stick to that. So I've made quite a few. I've made up for lost time, basically, which is dumb because I have plenty till last me forever. But I will save all that at the end because I know not everybody likes to stick around for that. But if you are curious about the things that I bought and you want to be enabled, stick around. Okay, first we're gonna start with the FFOs. I recently had completed the quilt tops for the other 2 paint chips quilts, my blue and green and black, and then my red, orange, and yellow. And I took them both to my long armor, and I have gotten them back, gotten them bound, and they are completed, and I am ready to share them with you. Okay, first I'm gonna share my blue, green, and black. So I'm gonna get up on my stool so I can show you. Okay. And these are just lap size quilts. These are 60 by 60 approximately. I'm not totally sure if you can see all of it whenever I lift it up in front of my face, so let me flip it around and show you the bottom half. I mean, technically these could go in any direction. So we've got green in one corner, and it goes to teal and blue in the other corner, in the middle corners, I guess you could say, and then fades all the way to black. Okay, so let me show you up close and personal. The backing on this one was this beautiful batik that incorporates all the colors, the green and the turquoise and teal into the blue and the black. And then for the quilting pattern that I used, it is a blue to teal greenish variegated that perfectly matches the colors of the backing and the front. And let me see if I can get a good, so this pattern, it's called graffiti. I'm trying to find a good spot where you can see it all. Let me show you the black. There, you can kind of see, it just kind of incorporates a bunch of different patterns. So you've got a heart, you've got the circles, leaves, various spirals and feathers. It's kind of like an amalgamation of a bunch of different styles of quilting pattern all combined together, and it's called graffiti, I believe. Yeah, so see, like you've got the back and the forth, leaves here, heart. It's very actually, let me see if I can find another place. Yeah, it kind of shows up here on the light. It actually blends in pretty well. Yeah, you can see it a little bit more. So you got stripes and waves and echo and scallops, leaves, just a little bit of everything. So all together, it kind of looks like a giant, like, quilting graffiti. And it works really well. It really blends in well. I'll put in a picture for sure of the finished quilt so you can see it all together, just kind of laid out, and how well the quilting pattern really incorporates into the paint chip blocks. It doesn't look like it would work whenever you kind of put a busy thing on a busy thing with the variegated, but honestly, I think it just enhances the look of it really well. And the fact that the variegated colors and the backing and the front like all match so perfectly is just chef's kiss. So then the next fully finished quilts I'm going to show you is the red, orange, and yellow paint chips that I took to my long armor. And okay, back up here, this is the finished. And it does also feature a little bit of brown, and then there's a tiny hint of pink in the bottom. And then like the tiniest hint of green. Like I needed to borrow basically from a couple of other colors to really fill this one out, because this is the one where I had the least amount of scraps to make the blocks out of. As a reminder, these blocks are all made with scraps from my scrapbook. They're all strip scraps that I turned into these random blocks that we named together my paint chip quilt. And the backing is this warm floral that features the red, orange, and yellow. There's some of that creamy white, and then the green background that pulls in the little bit of green from the front. And then the quilting that we did is just a really nice feather pattern. And we specifically picked it because it reminded us of these pieces here. There's actually a couple in the brown. I think there's one, yep, in the orange. There's a couple of colorways of this style of print, and we kind of drew from that as inspiration for this specific feather. And it's just a variegated tan, so it doesn't necessarily stick out over any one color section. You can kind of see it pretty well there. Yeah, flip it around. It looks great, and just like with the blue and the green one, I'll insert a picture of everything all laid out so you can kind of see how it works together. And those two quilts are the exact same size. They're roughly 60 by 60. I think one dimension is like 60 and a half or whatever, but the approximate size is the same for both of them, which is just a lap quilt. And I'm super stoked about them. I'm glad to have 2 more finishes under my belt. I'm really pleased with these because they came together. My vision for them when I was imagining what this would turn into up here in my brain computer didn't even necessarily measure up to the reality. So yeah, I think this is the message I would like to give is, if you have a random idea that you think might look good, like, just do it. Just run with it. Because even if it doesn't, like, you can figure something else out further down the line. Sometimes I feel inspired by random things, and then I take that inspiration and I just play. And whether or not something good comes out of it doesn't really factor into my decision making. I just kind of do it. And then if I need to change my plan up along the way, or turn it into something else, or scrap the whole project entirely, then that's what I do. And I think crafting and quilting for me is much more enjoyable when I have given myself the permission to do that, instead of sticking to like a strict outline or a strict pattern or what. Don't get me wrong, there are times when I do that, where I buy all the required fabrics and do it exactly the way the instructions say, and it looks exactly like the model that was originally created. And sometimes I just don't, and I just wing it. And usually I tend to have more fun whenever I'm just winging it. So let's do the 3 tops that I finished next. As you can see behind me, one of those tops is my 3rd and final paint chips quilt. This one is my biggest one, and it was all of the remaining paint chip blocks that I had, which was my pinks, purples, grays, and whites. And so these ended up over here on the floor that I've set beside me ended up being roughly 60 by 60. This one ended up roughly 75 because I have an extra row, 75 by like 68-ish. These have 16 columns, whereas these over here have 14 columns. They're 14 columns and 4 rows. This one's 16 columns and 5 rows. It was the collection of which I had the most scraps, so it clearly made the biggest quilt. And I finished it. I was burnt out on it last update, kind of putting the tops together, because I had just, I mean, when you work on 3 of 3, it's, after a while, you just got to walk away from it. And that's what I did. So I set it down, I worked on another project, and I knew I was going to come back to it before this one. So that's what I did. I got it up there and got it stitched together in a day, and there it is. And I'm super excited about it. I'm gonna leave it on the wall rather than pull it off and show you up close, just because I think it's really well displayed on the wall right now. So I'm going to just kind of move the camera so you can see. It goes all the way up here at the top. So that my darkest purple is up here in this corner, and then it kind of goes this way down into the lighter whites and grays and silvers, and even into the multicolor kind of whites. And then it fades from there into the light pinks. And then we go down this way into my darkest pink down in this corner. And then over here this way is where it kind of goes into my black and white, and then into my darkest grays over here. And that's it. That is the full quilt, or the full quilt top. I do have the backing for it. My backing is all stitched together and it's hanging on my hanger ready to go into the closet with this one, so I can bring it to my long armor next. And it's this beautiful like faux batik kind of watercolor fabric that's mostly pinks and purples, which is, you know, perfect because it's the pink and purple quilt. And yeah, there it is. The backings for all 3 of these I got on sale whenever Joann's, may she rest in peace, went out of business. You know, they had discounted fabric, so I just kind of went in. Let me straighten you a little bit. There we go. So I just kind of went in hoping to see if I could find something for these quilts, and I was lucky enough to find something for all 3 at a discounted price. And so this was the one I got. And it has been stitched together and it's ready to go. So this and this are going in the closet, and the next time you see them, which I don't know if it'll be for the next update or not, because I switched up my long arming appointment schedule. I was doing 1 quilt every 3 months, but I switched it for the remainder of the year and next year for 1 every other month. So maybe, I mean, you'll certainly see it before the end of the year, so. But next time you see it again, it'll be fully finished. So that being said, I am going to take this quilt off the wall now, and then it'll be just, you know, a second for you, and I'll put something new up there for you guys to see. I'm going to show you the other 2 finished quilt tops that I've done. Okay, so I've got my next quilt top up on the wall for you to see. Now this one I'm calling a finished for now quilt top, or like a finished top with an asterisk, because I think I might actually make it bigger at some point. I don't know yet what I'm gonna do with it. I just kind of started it on a whim. But anyways, this is it here. So I just randomly started this one. These center blocks with the flowers and then the hummingbirds were on a panel in my stash that I was going through whenever I was trying to find florals for my ether quilt. And I ended up just like keeping it out of my shelves and cutting it up and just like, feel like doing something with it. I really just kind of wanted something summery and bright and floral, and this was like a quick little something to scratch that itch. And so what I did was I cut these panels up to the biggest block that I could kind of get out of it, which came to 7 inches or 7¼ inches, something like that. And then I just added borders around it. So each block has one print that's sort of framing it, one low volume that's framing that one, and then the corner squares of each. And they're all different fabrics. I just kind of found fabrics that were bright and floral that kind of complemented the colors already in them. And then the cornerstones of the entire quilt are a teal blue floral that sort of matched and complemented the rest of the prints. And then between all of the blocks is a 2-inch sashing, which is like this faux wood grain print that actually has a metallic shine to it. And yeah, I like the way it came out. It's just like a fun little springy something. I wasn't going for anything specifically. I just kind of wanted to create because I had the thought of what it could be. And this kind of draws back to that statement I made earlier about how if you just kind of want to wing it, then do it and see what comes out of it. And you may love it, you may hate it, but either way, it's going to be a learning experience. And I just came up with this cute little something. It's a weird size, which is why I think I might expand on it later. Right now it's currently 40 by 52, I think. So it's a little too big for a baby quilt, but definitely too small for a lap quilt. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, if I'm just gonna set it aside and come back to it later whenever I have a plan for it, or leave it like it is and quilt it, or if I want to add a couple of borders and make it a little bit bigger and more lap size appropriate. Definitely tell me your opinions, tell me your thoughts in the comment, like what you think, or what would you do with it? I don't know. It's definitely very feminine and girly, but I don't know necessarily that I want to use it as a baby girl quilt. I don't know, but I did it, so I wanted to share it with you. So this, I will say, it's a finish, but I'm also calling it like a finish for now because I haven't really decided where I'm going with this top yet. But yeah, I will take this one off the wall and I'll bring it a little bit closer so you guys can see better detail of what kind of fabrics I used. So here's what the floral panel with the hummingbirds and little butterflies look like. And I got a couple of them repeating. I just found some pretty springy colors that matched the vibe, you know what I mean? And put them all together. You can see the turquoise floral, that's the cornerstone. And yeah, I really like these colors. They are very vibrant and pretty. So there's that. So again, by all means, tell me what you think I should do with it, because I don't know, but I like it. I like the way it ended up. So this next finish top was also a new start, but this one I started with a bit more intention. I have a friend that is pregnant and she's due at the end of September, I think, but her baby shower is at the end of July. So I decided I was gonna make her a baby quilt because that's kind of what I want to do with all my pregnant friends. I have a lot of pregnant friends because my friends are very fertile. There's something in the water down here. So I will put the quilt on the wall and then it's small enough that I'll bring it in close so we can take a look at it. Okay, so this is the quilt. It is a quilt for a baby boy. He is gonna be born into a hunting family. We're down here in the South. Lilac are hunting. Well, I don't because I love animals, but they hunt. So I know his nursery, I haven't seen pictures of it, but the plan for the nursery is mostly creams and whites with some green and brown accents, with little kind of woodland animals. I know that Dad has a couple of taxidermied deer head, and then I think maybe a couple of other animals that they're going to put in there, which honestly I think is kind of cool. It's kind of hardcore. So I was going with that vibe for the baby quilts. It's just sawtooth stars with, similar to the other quilt I showed you, there's a large panel or a large print for the middle, and then I added accent colors around for the points of the star, and then all of the background are just various low volumes, creamy low volumes. And then I also bought the backing for this quilt already. So because it's sort of due by the end of July, I'm gonna go ahead and quilt it myself. It's small enough I can do it on my own machine. It's just gonna be very simple, straight edge, probably a grid pattern. But the fabric that's featured in here is from a line by Hoffman, I believe, called Woodsy and Whimsy. The fabrics in the middle of all the stars is one large print that has all these different woodland animals. The green and the brown are two colorways of the same kind of, almost like a stripy grunge-ish. And then the backing is also from that line, and I'll show you that now. And that's this one here, which is more of the same color, more creams, browns, greens, and woodland animals. So I got all of that line to go in this one. And then also what I noticed with this one, because I was using my low volumes, was they were in desperate need of a refresh. So when I was buying the fabric for this one, I also bought a couple of fat quarter bundles from Fat Quarter Shop, which were like curated low volume fat quarter bundles. And I won't, you know, pull all the fabrics out to show you individually because we know what a low volume looks like. But so I went through, Fat Quarter Shop's great because they do sell curated bundles like that, whether it's florals or colors or, you know, designers or manufacturers, they'll make different curated bundles. And so I just went in to their pre-cut section and went hunting for the creams and the whites, and I snagged a couple of them to refresh my low volume stash. And so I pulled a whole bunch of them from both my stash and from the new packs, and that's what the low volume backgrounds are for all of the stars. So all that to say, let me bring it in closer so you can see it. So believe it or not, this is one of like the only quilts I've ever made that doesn't have a metallic fabric on it, which, you know, if you know me, that's rare because I love a metallic, but it didn't really match the vibe for what this baby boy's room was gonna be. So there's no metallics on it. But if you know me as well, you also know that I love a sawtooth star. And this is like the third or fourth quilt I've done that's all sawtooth stars. I just love them. They're so easy and they look so good. Okay, so here's what that middle fabric looks like up close. You can kind of see all the different animals that are on there. And then you can see that stripy grunge I was talking about in the green and the brown and all the different backgrounds there. Beautiful. There's just, that one's a little stump because I need something else. I was starting to duplicate the animals and I wanted to make sure I got everything. The little hare and the owl. I love that one. Now, the reason why I love a sawtooth star, and I mean love a sawtooth star, is they are so easy. Basically, it's a flying geese unit, 4 flying geese units, and then it's just a 9 patch, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And it's super fast, but the payoff is really great. It looks really good. And if you have a fabric like this one that's a large print that you really want to display and feature, it's a perfect block to feature in the middle. I mean, you can also sub this whole thing, this whole center block out for a 9 patch or, you know, a log cabin or whatever. So they're very versatile. But my goodness, I just love them. Look at that little doe. Isn't she so cute? Yes. It came out perfect. And I did this in like a day and a half because it was that easy, which is, again, another reason why I love Sawtooth Stars. So before my next update, this will have been completed and it will be gifted to its intended audience. So what I'll do before I send it off for sure is get pictures and probably a little video so that I can put that in the following update with the completed quilt. Right, because if I didn't get video of it, it didn't happen in the age of social media. Okay, so I switched everything up again one more time. Always surprising you. Let me change the camera angle just a hair. There we go. So I have my Monarch whip up on the wall now. This is Monarch by the Cloth Parcel. I will have to insert a picture of what the pattern looks like with their fabrics because my printout is black and white, so you can't see it. But unfortunately, the Cloth Parcel went out of business recently, which is a bummer. But I was lucky enough to snag this pattern before then. I'm stitching it with the Celtic Fairies line by Lewis and Irene, which is a line that, again, is no longer available because what I have a tendency to do is purchase fabric lines and then just sit on them until I figure out what the heck I'm gonna do with them. And then by the time I do that and share it with people, the fabric line is no longer being manufactured. So my apologies, but that is what I'm using here. It's got fairies and thistles and unicorns and Celtic knot flowers and hearts and trees with leaves and faces, and I love it. It's very cute. And then the background is this dark sort of blue triangle you're seeing. In the pattern itself, the background that they use is white, but I tend to not lean towards white if I can. I prefer to use either like a tone-on-tone print or something that's kind of a fun color. And I happen to have this one in my stash. This is a color called Galactic. It's a Bella Solid. And I felt like it complemented the pattern really well. It leans just a little bit gray compared to the blues in the different prints, which I think works great because they don't get lost in each other necessarily. So you can kind of see more of what it's going to look like together. Let me tilt you up a little bit further. Here we go. Made no difference. But I have just 6 blocks left, and then this quilt top is ready to be all stitched together and assembled. The pattern called for either 12 quilt blocks or 20. And the amount of quilt blocks is equal to the amount of fat quarters that you would use to make the blocks. I had this Lewis and Irene fabric quarter bundle and it was 15. And it was, so I needed to supplement with a 16th and then I could make it a perfect square quilt. And the 16th fabric that I supplemented with is this one in here, this sort of dark blue with a silver kind of glitter, which is hard to see from this distance, I know, but I'll show you a little bit closer. And it complemented perfectly because there's also other dark blue with silver metallics in the line. So it works great, it fits perfect. Now I haven't necessarily started like shuffling around which ones are gonna go where. And I won't do that until I actually get them all completed and I can start color balancing and working on the composition of everything. Because like right now, all of these have this dark purple print and they're all sitting right here. And then, you know, up here, the corners of all of these are the same print, just in different colorways. So I'll start, and then there's, you know, there's a lot of dark blue down in these 4. So I'll start shuffling and color balancing later. That's just part of my process. It's one of my favorite parts of the process, honestly, is when I get to move everything around and make it look good. So the last time I showed my whip update on this one, I think I had 6 of these 10 done, if I'm not mistaken. I've since added this one and then these 3, I think, maybe. I'll show you anyway. So here's this one. There's that silvery, glittery dark blue that I added that I was talking about. And there is this beautiful lavender gold fleck metallic with the tree with the little face. There's unicorns and fairies in this cream gold. And then the tan colorway of the thistle. And then this one has the blue thistle colorway star with the dark blue unicorn. And then the light tan tree. And then the tan and the gold. I really love this print. The Celtic knot flower. Beautiful, beautiful. And then this one's the thistle and fairy print in the tan, the light purple unicorn and Celtic knot. There's the white thistle print and then the dark purple tree. And then this one has the tan thistle and then the light purple fairy with the thistle, the dark purple tree again, and then this light blue Celtic knot flower. Yes. So one of the things that I'm really enjoying about this is, which I think you can see really well at this distance, is with the different prints and the different color values of the lights and the darks, it's bringing out different secondary patterns in the blocks themselves. Like in here, you can really see the X and then the circle. But then you go over here, you can really see the center star very well, and then the surrounding diamond. And then over here, it looks more like arrowheads in that surrounding diamond. You know what I mean? And then down here, because of the darks, you see smaller diamonds and then the plus in the middle. And I just think that's really cool. I mean, I'm just geeking out over it. I don't know if that tickles anybody else, but it definitely makes me happy to see that. So once like I said, once I get it all completed and then I can start moving things around, I can really play with where the different shapes that are being drawn out are placed and which colors, darks and lights go where. You get the idea. So like I said, I only have 6 blocks left, and the plan for the next update is to have this quilt top assembled. I will have all those blocks there. Now that it's got its space on the design wall, it's, you know, the next focus basically, kind of what it means for me whenever it makes its way to the design wall. So I'll finish those 6 blocks and then get them stitched together and then set it to the side to go to the long armor. I do already have the backing purchased for this one. Which I'll go ahead and show you now instead of lumping it in with the haul, so the haul at the end is a little bit quicker. As I mentioned, this line is no longer available for purchase, at least not in like big quantities like I would need for a backing. So I had to find something that sort of complemented, even though it wasn't quite the same. And I found this print from Ruby Star Society here, which is a light blue foresty theme, and it's not, it looks directional, but it's not. It's flipped either way. There's squirrels and owls and foxes and leaves and flowers, but you know, flip it and it looks the same because it's not fully directional. The name of this print, well, the name of the fabric line anyway, I don't know about the print itself, is Winter Glow by Sara Watts from Ruby Star Society. Of course, I love Ruby Star. They're one of my favorite fabric manufacturers. And the blue is ever so slightly darker than the other, like the lightest blue, but it still works really well. It's in that same color family of this sort of light sky blue. And then of course the woodland kind of foresty theme is very perfect for it. So I went ahead and just snagged this up before this one went out of print, and I lost my opportunity. So this will be added to my closet with my other finished quilt tops, and we'll see it again soon. I don't know Again, like I said, I don't know if it'll be fully finished by the time I do my next update, because my updates tend to be about 3 months apart, but my quilting appointments are now every other month. So I don't know if it'll be fully finished by the time we meet again, but maybe. The top will be, at the very least, finished. Okay, so the last whip that I worked on in the interim was my ether quilt, the one that was on the design wall last time. And I don't remember if I had all of my orange peels cut out at that point or not, but I since have cut all my orange peels out and then stitched them to the interfacing and flipped them. But I will be inserting a picture of what that looks like on my design wall when I had it up there, because now I'm working on the tedious process of getting each of those orange peels top stitched to the backing, no, top stitched to the quilt top itself. So that way, once I do that, it'll be done and ready to go to the long armor. So I have it here. All of these fabrics are hand dyed by my very dear friend, Amy. She has her own quilting channel, which is Quilting with Fiber Arts Amy. And she sells these hand-dyed fabrics on her website, which is Oak Crown Studios. And I will have it linked down below if you want to check it out. But I did get a couple of them attached, and I wanted to show you what that looks like. So I started on the side here, and I only got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Before I was like, this is super duper tedious, and I had spent a lot of time making these into the finished orange peels, and I think by the time I got here I was just like ready to work on something else. So like I did with the paint chips, I'm just gonna set it aside, finish a couple of other things, and re-whet my appetite for it. That way when I come back to it I can just power through it and do it. But this is what it's looking like as the top. You can kind of see, and before you question like, Kelly, why didn't you stitch that, top stitch that with a purple? Because I thought about it, and I don't want to change the color of my thread for every single one that I'm top stitching so that it blends in. I'd rather just use a tan for everything because it doesn't bother me. So relax if it bothers you. If you look at it from back here, you can't tell. But I have them all top stitched super close to the ends here. And I did want to show you, this is my stack of orange peels. So there's quite a few here. But I did want to show you what it looks like when you have them turned out the way they're supposed to. So there's multiple methods for attaching the orange peels to the quilt top. The method that I used was to sew the front of my orange peel to some sew-in interfacing, cut a hole up the back of the interfacing, flip it inside out, and then top stitch it to my quilt top. So when you do that, this is what the back looks like. There's the hole I cut. And I trimmed my seam down to like 1/8 of an inch or less all the way around before I flipped it, and then ironed it flat. And so now I have my orange peel ready to be top stitched onto the quilt top. Here's another one, as you can see, the backing. So to get these little points, it's not, you know, the sharpest, but to get, you don't want to, you know, really stab through because your sew-in interfacing is really thin, so you could puncture right through the whole thing. And if you trim your seams thinner, you know, you could potentially rip the seam. So you want to be very gingerly when you're flipping them inside out. And I have a bone folder that I used to really get into these corners, and also to press, to like do an initial press around the edges, which was super helpful for these. So if you're going to do this project and you're going to do the orange peels with this method, definitely invest in something like a bone folder, or like, what's that tool, the purple thingamajig, is that what it's called? That's good for like poking the corners out, you know what I mean. But yes, I have, including the 5 that are on the top currently, I have a total of 168 of these, I think. So it was kind of a tedious process getting them all stitched together and then flipped inside out and ironed down, which is why I kind of was like, I'm gonna take a break from this when I started doing the actual top stitching. I'm not tired of it. I just need a little breather, and that's all, because this process was tedious. And the other thing was, so I bought a package of the Pellon sew-in interfacing from Fat Quarter Shop or 123 Stitch, one of them. And I bought the package and I traced my orange peels, cut them all out, and it wasn't enough. So I had to buy another package, and I traced my orange peels, cut them all out, and it still wasn't enough. So I had to buy a third package, and finally it was enough. But just be aware that if you are going to do that, you gotta get a lot of the sew-in interfacing. In fact, that hummingbird and flower quilt top that I was working on, I just cranked that out while I was waiting on the next package of sew-in interfacing to come in the mail because I couldn't go forward anymore. And I did also go ahead and get a backing for this one. So because I was already shopping for a backing for this quilt, I went ahead and went hunting for a backing for either, which is, you know, a bright floral, fun, kind of summery. So I kind of waffled on which vibe I was going for with the fabric, and I decided I wanted it to either be more turquoisey teal, green, blue, or, you know, that color value, or more in the pinks and purples, more so than anything else. And I ended up finding this fabric here, which is also from Ruby Star Society, which is just this beautiful floral teal, turquoise, blue, and green print. It's ultimately quite simple compared to the quilt top itself, but I thought it complemented the brightness really well, and then of course tied in the flowers and the sort of natural elements that are featured a lot in the orange peels. So this is what I decided on. Again, it is a Ruby Star Society. This one is from a line called Rise and Shine by Melody Miller. Melody Miller is another one of my absolute favorite fabric designers in general. I love Ruby Star, and Melody Miller is great. You'll hear me talk about her a lot. I've actually made 2 quilts entirely out of Melody Miller fabrics, and I'll insert pictures. One of them is a Sawtooth Star quilt, which is my Stay Gold panel quilt, and then the other one was my Set Sail that I used all of her Rise line, which was all like flowers and snakes and stuff. So yeah, I'm a fan of hers, and so that's why I wanted to incorporate her in one of my favorite quilts I've ever made. Okay, so that was it for finishes and for whips. And real quick, I'll go through plans and then we'll go into haul, so that way if you don't want to hear any more after this, we can say goodnight. I'm gonna fully finish the baby quilt. I'm going to fully finish finish the either quilt top. I will make a decision on what I'm gonna do with the hummingbird and flower quilt top. Whether or not I leave it as is or add to it and make it bigger, I don't know. I will have at least one fully finished quilt when we come back. Probably my paint chips, and then I might potentially have 2 depending on how the long arm appointments fall. In which case the other one would probably be either this one or either one of the 2. And then I do have some other whips that I had already started, like my Laura Heine Siren collage quilt that I had kind of started, so I need to whip that out and work on it. I need to finish my dark forest sampler that I had designed and started. And then if I want to do some more new starts in between then, I probably will, let's be honest. Then I'll do that, and it'll be a surprise to both of us. Okay, so everything from here on out is going to be haul, and it's a decent chunk. I do have some fabric to share with you, mostly pre-cuts, and then I have some patterns to share with you, and then we'll say goodbye. But if you don't care for that and this is where we part ways, thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I hope to see you again at the next update. So first I want to show you the patterns that I purchased. I just got a handful. I got 4 of them here, and I think they're super fun. So hopefully you like them too. The first one is called Stars and Windows, which is designed by Beverly McCullough for Flamingo Toes. And that's this pattern here. So take a guess why I like it. There's a big hint right here. Yeah, I love a star, I love a salty star. But this is, I also was drawn to this one because I like the feature blocks. And I do tend to have a lot of large print fabrics because I like really loud fabric designers like Melody Miller, like Anna Marie Horner, like Kay Fassett. And patterns like this are a really good way to highlight them and use them. So I wanted to add this one to my stash just as soon as I saw it. This next one is a more modern quilt. It's called Let's Play by Stacey Eist. I think that's how you say it, Stacey Eist or East maybe. HSU, you tell me. This is how you spell her name, I-E-S-T. But this one is very reminiscent of Bauhaus, the one I did that was designed by Zen Chic. I do like the very modern vibe of this one. I kind of have someone in mind for this quilt. I have a coworker who's very near and dear to me, and he's saved my butt several times. And we've been friends for years, and I kind of think I want to make him a quilt. So I was looking for something that was a little bit more masculine. So this one piqued my interest. This next one is a Lori Holt pattern for Bee in My Bonnet, and it's called Summer Picnic. And it is this one here. And I really like this one because you have these really large stars with the tiny little sawtooths in between. I think that's really cute. I've been really feeling stars and samplers recently. Next one is a newer one by one of my favorite pattern designers ever, which is Elizabeth Hartman. And this one is called Mermaids. So Elizabeth Hartman is definitely, gosh, she's such a cool designer. I love her style that she makes her blocks in. I love all the different critters and creatures and whatnot that she features in her patterns. And when I saw this one, I was like, oh, of course. Immediately added to cart because I love the mermaids. They're so cute. And I love that she featured different skin tones and different hair colors. And you can do all sorts of fun stuff with their fins and their little bralettes or bandeaus, whatever you want to call them. Okay, so let me show off the fabric that I bought. Just a couple of pre-cuts, and then we'll say goodbye. So while I was out shopping, I came across a fat quarter bundle from a line that I hadn't heard of before. And I thought that the color story was really pretty and just kind of spoke to me. It's called Camp Creek by Cotton and Steel, and this is the line here. So I really like these colors together. I really like anything that has like a coral and a limey green together. Those two colors work really well together. And all of the fabrics are these sort of outdoorsy kind of camper nature vibe. And once I know what I'm planning to do with them, I'll fill you guys in because I don't know yet. I just think they're really cute. I really like these ones with the what looks like a moon and stars, and then the little leafy bits in front of it. Yeah, so I jumped on this one, and then I got a couple of pieces of yardage. This was an end of bolt sale. It's 1.5 yards, and it's just a random candy print that I thought was super cute, so I went ahead and added that to cart. Don't have a plan for it, but it might be a really cool back, and it's just enough to be a really cool back for like a baby quilt at some point in the future. And then this one was kind of, it just happened by chance. So whenever I was making this one, I realized I didn't actually have enough of the Galactic Bella Solid. So I ordered some more, and they accidentally sent me the wrong color. They accidentally sent me this color instead. I couldn't tell you what it is because they thought they were sending me Galactic. I called them and was like, hey, you guys sent me the wrong one. And they said, oh, our bad, you keep that one. We'll send you the right thing. So they did, but now I have 1.5 yards of, I think it's 1.5 yards. It might be 2 yards. of whatever this mystery light blue is. And then the last two purchases that I'm going to show you are both layer cakes. So one is from Tilda, one of her fabric lines. It's called Wallflower. And I will have to insert a picture of the full fabric line because I don't know that you'll be able to see it all. So there's like a blue colorway. There's a green. That one's really pretty. There's like an orange and a pink, I believe. And I really like these ones with the little lady. So there's the pink. Oh, here's the green ones. I really like the green one. Look at this one. Yeah, and then here's the pink. So orange. Yeah, orange, blue, green, and pink. She's very pretty. I really liked this print. That's the one that sold me on it. And then the next layer cake is an Anna Maria Horner layer cake for Free Spirit. And this is her line called Good Gracious. And I'll do the same where, I mean, you can't really see. Let me just go ahead and take the things off. Okay, then we can go through them a little better. So I love Anna Maria Horner. She's one of my all-time favorite designers ever, ever, ever. But her prints are quite large and loud. I love this one. And so I like to find patterns. That's really cool. That will allow me to show off these big prints that look great together. Oh, I just love her color stories. They're so fun. She uses color in a unique way that I don't really see in other people's fabric lines. But yeah, I'll insert a picture so you can see the full line because I'm just kind of flipping through real quick. Well, that's everything. That's everything I have to share with you. If you have made it to this point, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you putting up with me rambling and stumbling over my words and saying and being a total goofy goof. But thank you, regardless. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to drop me a comment or reach out to me either in my email, which I have listed up below, on Instagram, either in the comments or via direct message. And yeah, tell me what you're working on. Tell me what you think about everything that I have mentioned. If you see anything that you might like to purchase, if it's available, I will have it linked down below. If it's not available, you can definitely ask and I'll let you know whether or not you can still get it. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. Again, I do truly appreciate it. And I will see you guys in the next update around fall. Bye guys.
Close your eyes for a minute, close your eyes for a second. I won't change my mind. What does getting deep now? What does getting deep now?